like to call to order the December 8th, 2025 regular school committee meeting. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. A moment of silence. Please be seated. The listing of matters on the agenda are those reasonably anticipated by the chair, which may be discussed at the meeting. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by law. This meeting will be live streamed for cable. A recording of this meeting will also be posted on the West Bridgewater Community Access Media website, wb-cam.org. All right, first up, we have recognitions.
All right, Mrs. Page, if you wouldn't mind.
Hello. First off, we have our John and Abigail Adams Scholar winners. We want to recognize them. We did not ask them all to come this evening. They're all have busy schedules, but I just want to let you know, well, one may be here. The John and Abigail Adams Scholarship is a Massachusetts state program offering a tuition credit for high-achieving students at public colleges, rewarding academic excellence through strong MCAS test scores, advanced and proficient, and district performances, providing tuition help for up to 8 semesters at a state university or college. To be eligible for the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship, you need to score in the advanced category on one of 3 high school state assessment tests: English, language arts, math, and the STE, which is science. Here we do biology. Score in proficient or advanced category on the remaining 2 high school state assessment tests. Have a combined MCAS score on these assessments that ranks in the top 25% in their school district. So we are, do you want me to read the names, or it's up to you guys?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are proud to acknowledge our Adams scholars: Chidera Agomo, Armani Baptista Pereira, Amber Bezerick, Alyssa Catino, Anthony D'Agostino, Victoria DiMaggio, Benjamin Dowdle, Margaret Farrell, Jag Garces, Achilles Gomez, Sean Hancock, Braylon Holden, Tyler Holmes, Ilana Jenkinson, Cole LaCornick, Melody Little, Ariana Lone, Davi Lopes, Cameron Milka, Ada Musari, Colin O'Neill, Sean Petrus, Anna Premack, Natalie Raposa, Jacob Smith, Presley Soares, and Philomena Spa. So congratulations to all of them. I'll be sure to get them their certificates in school.
Thank you, and congratulations to all the students. It was great to see the picture in your newsletter and post it out on Facebook as well.
Congratulations to them.
Yes, I think Peace Posters next.
So at the Howard School, the Little Leo's Club presents the Lions Club Peace Poster Contest every year. The theme this year was Together as One. Students are expected to show what could happen when people work towards a common goal. We had, I counted before I came here and I've already forgotten, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We had 12 participants. Our third place winner is Ava Maney. Our second place winner, Sadie Hudnowski, and our first place winner, who is here with us tonight, is Bob Connor. Come on up, Bob. We'll give you your certificate. And since you're here, and they're all... Tutorial needed there. Right, ready?
Congratulations.
And I'll make sure the certificates get to the other 2 winners at school. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Next, I'm happy to acknowledge one of our amazing 8th grade students. Every year, we have Project 351. Project 351 believes that inside every young person is a brave, bold leader with dreams of a better world and the skill, passion, and creativity to achieve their vision. It is determined to meet the demand for high-quality, enriching service opportunities that respect and reflect the unique gifts and ever world-changing aspirations of young people, and to joyfully mobilize the abundance of talent and goodness to uplift, unite, and transform communities. Selected by hometown educators here in West Bridgewater, these unsung heroes and quiet leaders unite for a transformative year of service and leadership. They join a warm, welcoming community built on the belief that service is joy and that world-changing impact is possible. They offer their unique gifts, force of idealism, and dedication to a cause greater than self. From 351 cities and towns, they become one community, one team, and force for extraordinary good. Ambassadors are invited to unite, act, and lead for a year of inspirational service, empowering leadership, training, and teamwork with a statewide network of friends. I'm happy to announce and congratulate Marina Salib for being West Bridgewater's Project 351 ambassador. Come on up.
And can I say how awesome it is that the whole 8th grade team, they picked you. And that's such a credit to you. And we want to say congratulations to you.
What happened? Oh no, you guys are falling apart.
Let's do, we'll get through public comment and then, yeah. And then we can, you want to do it before your updates?
We can do it after. I mean, yeah, we can go first.
Okay. All right, up next, we have the approval of minutes from the November 3rd, 2025 school committee meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the minutes?
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on these?
No.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Next, we have the warrants report. Mrs. Lazardi.
Okay. The following warrants were issued and paid for the fiscal year 2026. For bill warrants, November 6, 2025, warrant number 15 for $103,421.69. On November 13th, 25, warrant number 16, $179,168.17. On November 20th, warrant number 17 for $65,306 even. On November 27th, warrant number 18 for $331,537.19. For payroll warrants fiscal year 26, on November 7th, $626,292.66, and on November 21st, 2025, for $705,192.57. As always, all warrants are public record and once signed are available in the Selectman's office for review.
Thank you, Kara. Okay, up next, we have the introduction of our Student Advisory Committee representative. So I'd like to welcome George Baroud to the committee. For those of you who are not familiar with the process, Mr. Baroud was elected by his peers, and so he is a non-voting member of this committee, which means he is welcome to participate in discussion, and we welcome his voice as a student rep.
Absolutely.
Welcome, George.
Very nice to be here tonight.
All right, next on the agenda is public comment. Members of the audience wishing to address the committee may do so at this time. Audience members shall limit comments to 3 minutes and are reminded that public comment is not a discussion, debate, or dialogue between individuals and the school committee. Personnel issues or issues that would violate student or employee confidentiality cannot be addressed during the public comment. All right, seeing none, we will move on to the superintendent's update. Mr. Bodwell?
Do you mind if Ms. Hamill is here? I know you've got a game going on down there. If we move her up a little
Yep.
bit, and then we'll go back to the regular.
Absolutely. So I'd like to entertain a motion to amend the agenda to move the fall sports recap to first on the superintendent's update. Is there a motion?
Move to bring the fall sports update up to next on the agenda.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Mrs.
thank
Hamill.
you.
Thank you so much.
Well, good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to share highlights from our fall athletic season. It's always a pleasure to talk about our talented student athletes and the incredible dedication, teamwork, and spirit they bring to our programs. I really couldn't get every game off as I would without their help, so I'm very grateful. First, I'd like to thank all coaches, game administrators, volunteers, and of course our student athletes. Their hard work, dedication, and teamwork were the driving forces behind a truly successful season. We are proud to congratulate our boys and girls cross country, field hockey, football, golf, boys and girls soccer, and our volleyball teams for qualifying for the state tournament this year. Their accomplishments are a reflection of both their skill and their commitment to representing our school community with pride. Our football, field hockey, boys cross country team were all South Coast Conference Gold Division League champions. And in an exciting addition to our tournament play, we were asked to host the MIAA D3 Field Hockey Final Four, which teams included Dover Sherborne, Watertown, and Uxbridge. It was a fantastic opportunity to show off our Wildcat pride and the exceptional facilities we're fortunate to call home. It was a great night, and the winner from that night was Uxbridge, which was a great game. So, in addition, our cheer team competed in their South Coast Conference cheer competition at the Bellingham High School. While they didn't take home a win this time, they worked very hard, and they're looking forward to bringing their energy and skills to the up-and-coming winter competition. Next, it's with Wildcat pride and excitement that we recognized our South Coast Conference MVPs, All-Stars, Honorable Mentions, and Sportsmanship Award winners. We had Alex Kelly and Ty Holmes, who were named South Coast Conference Gold Division MVPs, which is a great honor. There's only one for each division, for each sport. And then the following student athletes were named South Coast Conference All-Stars. We'd had Alex Kelly, Brendan Marinelli, Drew Spadia, Ty Holmes, Gage Turner, Thomas Polidori, Armani Baptista Pereira, Ryan Nunes, Emma Pope, Haley Krakowski, Brianna LaGrange, Reese O'Keefe, Carrie Gomes, Sophia Hume, Aiden Delahoy, and Ariana Lone. And wow, that is a mouthful, but fabulous, large number of all-stars in our league, which is extremely competitive, so they should be super proud of themselves. And then we had the following student athletes that were named South Coast Conference Honorable Mentions. We had Cole LaCornick, Sean Hancock, Sarah Dietrichson, Allie Edgerly, Chloe Gauthier, Sanaya DeCanto, Kyle Craven, Matt Walsh, Vance Hilchey, and Jasmine Paulson. Again, another great honor for those student athletes. And then our student athletes that were awarded the South Coast Conference Sportsmanship Awards are Cam Freites, Alexis Perez, Jacob Smith, Stacy Murphy, Kate Estrino, Kira Kogovin, and then Aiden Musari. So honestly, a great job to all of our student athletes representing WB in such a positive manner, and honestly, our Wildcats rock. This season also brought some truly special experiences. Our unified bocce jamboree lit up the middle school, high school gymnasium here with several schools joining us for a thrilling day of competition. It was an exciting opportunity for our students to showcase their skills, connect with peers and surrounding schools. A huge thank you to all our fans in the stands and volunteers whose energy and their support made the event even more memorable. We'll be having our unified middle school basketball coming up in February, and it's awesome, February into March, so we certainly look forward to that up-and-coming season. Building on these special experiences, I took several of our student athletes to attend the Sportsmanship Summit at Gillette Stadium. This is a valuable event for leadership, development, and a reaffirmation of the values we strive to uphold in all of our programs. It is also a chance for students to collaborate and connect with many other student athletes around the state. So another great opportunity where they go and talk about, you know, sportsmanship, or other topics. I think there was also some discussion this year about mental health for student athletes and coaches as well. So a great informational opportunity and workshop for our kids. Additionally, I had the exciting opportunity of taking our fall captains to the Roselle McDonald School to read to our younger students, and it was an absolute blast. Thank you to Keitha Goulet and Jen Enos for helping to organize that event. It was great success. It's always successful and always fun to see, you know, the older kids reading to the younger kids, and they wore their jerseys, and the kids just light up over there, and so it was absolutely phenomenal. And I look to doing that again in the winter with our winter captains. So another just a great learning opportunity for our kids to get in front and, you know, be those role models that they already are. As we wrap up, we were wrapping up our fall season with the Thanksgiving Day football game. I had the pleasure of organizing a breakfast for the cheer and football seniors from both WB and EB. Such a positive and memorable gathering, celebrating their hard work and the long-standing tradition of sportsmanship between our schools. And this particular game, WB came out on top this year, defeating EB 35-0. So super exciting. And also during this breakfast, I brought a guest speaker in, again, just to talk about what that Thanksgiving Day football game means and just kind of how much it means to the whole community as a whole. And, you know, it was awesome. It was great. So I'll look to do that again next year. And again, a lot of great opportunities for our kids. So overall, the season was a true celebration of what it means to be a Wildcat. We had athletic excellence, strong character, and a community that rallies around with incredible school spirit. I mean, thank you to our school committee, the administrators, for your unwavering support of our programs. We can't wait to carry this Wildcat momentum and energy straight into the winter season. So come on out. We have our, you know, basketball's gonna be starting up, and I think on when our girls basketball teams plays Cardinal Spellman, I want to say it's the 23rd. We're doing a toy drive, so anybody that brings a toy can get on into the you know, the game for free. So it's going to be awesome, exciting, and I can't wait to share all of the good things that go on in the winter season. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Andrew.
Thank you, and thank you for what you do. We love watching the kids compete, but we also love the sportsmanship, and that starts with you and Mrs. Page. Holding our kids to high standards on the field, and it shows. So proud of their efforts on the field and their sportsmanship. And
Agreed.
George is
Thank
also
you.
a student athlete
George
with
did a
us.
super job. Yeah, boys soccer. You guys did awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay. I want to talk a little bit about the school building project. Every month I try to give some updates. We haven't any school building committee meetings, and we're kind of on hold until we get to the town meeting vote, which we believe will be the end of January, but that date will be set in a couple weeks by the Board of Selectmen. So we have had many informational meetings and community forums to get information out there. Attendance has been good, but we also know that it's live streamed and it's also taped, so we hope people do get the opportunity to watch it after. We are also sending out emails, including information in newsletters, the presentations, and on social media. I know it's been posted on other social media accounts, including the town account today, so they can also view it there. I do have a weekly meeting every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. It's in person and through a Google Meet. So anyone is invited to attend, drop in, ask a question. It could be in person or both. We have set up some meetings. We've already had some. We have some coming this week and next, but with the PTO, with our CPAC, with the YA, Arts Boosters, Athletic Boosters, hopefully with the COA and the Lions Club as well. We've been giving a presentation and also answering some questions. The website does have really good information. They've recently updated, so it's a great source of information. We do have a number of videos coming out on the project. There'll be 4 in total. Just gives a little bit of background, but also some of the information in a more visual manner. And then always contact myself, or PMA has an email there for anyone who has any questions or concerns. And like I said, the town meeting is hopefully late January of 2026. It's not set again, but it looks like it'll be a Saturday morning, presumably at maybe 11 a.m. We have booked the date of the 31st, but again, Board of Selectmen will make that official. So these are just some images I was just going to go through very quickly, but again, they're in all the presentations. This will show the front of the building, the entry with the bus loop in the front and the parking, and you'll see that on the left-hand side, it's a 2-story building, and on the right, it's 3 stories. On the left is the lower school, grades kindergarten through grade 3, and on the right is the upper school, grades 4, 5, and 6, with the central area being the cafeteria, main office, nurses area, gymnasium are all in that central hub of the school. And this just shows the same image, but from the back, where you can see the larger area in the back is where the gym is on the 2nd floor, which would be above the mechanical and electrical areas, so it's really not going to impact any learning. And on the right-hand side in this image will be the lower school, and on the left-hand side, the upper school. This shows Stepping Stone Drive coming in. It does show with some numbers in terms of we can see parking. Again, bus drop-off in the front and the student drop-off in the back allows for queuing up to 90 cars. Along Stepping Stone, one of the questions we get is what will the traffic look like? And the reality is with the increase in population up to 1,075 students, there will be more traffic there. But we're also widening the road 9 feet. So there'll be travel lanes. There'll basically be 3 travel lanes. When you're going out of the building, there'll be a travel lane to the right and one that goes to the left and one coming in. But when you're and then kind of soon as you come into the site, on the right-hand side, there'll be a queuing lane. So cars can queue to drop off, but then buses and the educators can still get in on the travel lane in and then the 1 lane out. So we hope it does help out. You'll see areas where we have play areas, where we have outdoor classroom, learning spaces, where we have some parking in the back. We also have some delivery areas by the maintenance. And I won't go into too much detail on the floor plans. We have shown them before. They've been in a lot of publications, but again, you can see where on the 1st floor we have the kindergarten in the 1st grade and the 4th grade for the upper school, with those shared areas being in yellow and green in the middle of the building. 2nd floor is your 2nd and your 3rd grade in the lower school, and the 5th grade in the upper school. Again, shared spaces, library, multi-purpose room, and gymnasium, along with some special education spaces in the middle. And the goal is to be able to lock off the academic wings like we do here at the middle senior high school. So we can have groups in there using the gym, the multi-purpose room. We can have meetings in the library. We could have a PTO meeting all going on at the same time in separate spaces, because the goal is for this to be a real community space that's used throughout the entire year and not just used during school hours. And then finally on the 3rd floor, you'll see the 6th grade up there on the 3rd floor with their own dedicated learning area. Any questions or concerns? And We do keep hearing from some people that the information isn't getting out there. In my latest post, I did ask people for suggestions on where else we can put it. We've put calendar updates on the town calendar, on the town Facebook page, our Facebook page. I know it's made it to other large gathering groups like the Hub in town. Sending out emails. We've asked the town if we can send out any information through their notification system. They're getting back to us on that. But we're open for any suggestions.
Yeah, I know it's frustrating because you put in a lot of effort to communicate this information out, and you're still getting the feedback back that they're not getting the information, and it is frustrating because, you know, your primary source is parents, and
Right.
so it's tricky.
Again, going to the meetings, last week we had a meeting at the Roselle McDonald, pretty well attended. I think we had close to 50 people. We did send out letters to people in the abutting neighborhoods and surrounding areas. I think it helped. Because of the previous community forum, we heard a lot of concerns from the neighbors. And we said we appreciate them as neighbors and we want to be good neighbors to them. So we want to listen to their concerns. We brought in the civil engineers who answered some questions with a lot of great information. So that's what we want to do. We want to give them all the information and people decide on what they feel is best. All right.
Thank you.
The Reed's quarterly report is in your packet. Part of our agreement with our collaboratives that we provide information quarterly to the school committee. All right, I wanted to go through our district survey results. It did culminate in a 45-page document that had a lot of information. I will be sharing that out with the community after our meeting. So this year, the survey contained 3 major components. Last year, we had done these in separate surveys, and it really just made sense to put all the information out there in one survey. I know it was a little bit longer, but I think it was good to have that done that way. First part was our climate and culture survey. Combined a few questions, but really we wanted to send that out to get feedback from parents, students, and from our staff. The second part was our bullying intervention and prevention plan. So we put that out there to gather information on how we are doing in terms of bullying and potential conflict in schools. And then the third part was our annual institutional self-evaluation on our educational programs, which gives us feedback on are we providing equitable access to all students. And again, getting feedback on that. I feel we had pretty strong engagement across all groups. When we looked at the parent, guardian, family surveys, we had 38% participation. It was a great suggestion to look at the number of families and not just the number of students. So we'd always love as many as we can, but we did with that also send it out many different times. And but we'll take the 38%. Our staff, we had 77 responses, so about a 51%. I think pretty similar to last year. And our students in grades 4 to 12 took it, and we had 78% when they did it. And I thank the principals for helping with that. So within the executive summary, I included all the pie charts that show the breakdown of each question with ranges from strongly agree to strongly disagree. So you can look at the different percentages. If the percentages are very low, it didn't show on the pie chart, but if people have particular questions, I can answer it. It just, whenever I went to copy and paste those smaller ones, it wouldn't show the numbers. So you can kind of estimate it, but it didn't show the exact number. I also want to look at areas within the questions that were asked and provide a summary by taking the questions that range from strongly agree to strongly disagree. So I wanted to look at that data. Last year, I really looked at the open-ended. I provided the pie charts and I provided a summary of the open-ended things that are going well and things we can improve. So I wanted to do both this year because I feel there was some really good data. And so then I also took the open-ended questions, again, district strengths and areas of growth. And again, all that's included in the executive summary, which will be posted. Okay, so again, kind of a high-level feedback, and then people can review, and certainly I'm open for questions at any point. But I feel overall, there's positive feedback across the surveys from families, staff, and our students. And the feedback is great for us because it'll help us with continual improvement and growth. So within the climate and culture survey, some of the key strengths that stood out was the safe and supportive environments within the school. People feel safe, students feel safe in school. Strong relationships with caring adults, that came through, that people felt safe in talking to people, having someone they could go to. Positive culture and belonging, and communication and confidence in leadership. And some areas for improvement, again, high level, consistency and inclusion and belonging. So there was a lot of positive comments on that, but just having consistency across all of the schools. Bullying, conflict response, and behavior expectations, so making sure those are clear and consistent. Student voice and engagement, making sure we're giving all students the opportunity to have their voice be heard, and consistency in communication and responsiveness. So when I met with the administrative team today, we had our monthly meeting. I talked to them about now diving down and looking at the data for their school. They can take all the data and exclude all the other schools and just look at their grade levels. When I looked at the bullying intervention and prevention information, incidents reported provide good data on how often, so you'll be able to see that, how often people are observing, whether it's happening frequently, occasionally, or potentially not at all. Respondents reported effectively addressing concerns. We wanted to make sure that they are addressed, the concerns, in a timely manner, and we're documenting that. And then within the executive summary, you'll see that we provided what is being reported. So it's good to know what is being seen by the families, by the staff, and by our students, and it gives us good feedback on the behaviors and examples of it, and you'll see that. And also, it's very important to find out where it is happening. And often we found it's in during less structured times, which makes sense, that people aren't there, but it gives us more awareness moving forward of where it's happening so we can continue to monitor that most effectively. And reporting of incidents, important to note to whom and how often it's being reported to the administration so it can be investigated. We've talked about that. We talked about that at our meeting today. Keeping consistency amongst our administrative team in terms of investigating processes we're doing. We've created a list of procedures that they are following. It's taken from the bullying intervention plan, but we kind of stretched it out a little bit to make sure everyone is doing the same thing. And again, we continue to review the results and work with our staff to ensure kids are safe. And then when we look at the institutional self-evaluation of the programs, again, we will do this annually to evaluate equal opportunities and access from K to 12. And it includes access to academic offerings, extracurricular activities, and athletics, regardless of any area of concern. And we want to help ensure the district's able to uphold equitable practices and implementing changes when needed. So if something comes up through these surveys, we're able to address it, hopefully by getting more information. Also information related to students who are being denied access, and a high percentage reported not having any denial of access in our programs. Gathering information about awareness to academic and extracurricular programs. We want to make sure that they are aware of what programs are out there. And we also want to make sure we gather information about school communications and that are clear and in the target language of our students and our families. So there was a lot in there. It's hard to kind of do a short summary here, but it's a lot of really good information. There's also some repetitive, I mean, sometimes it's seen as a strength and other times it's seen as an area of concern. I do like seeing the information about the questions when we're looking at the strongly agree to strongly disagree, because when I first looked at the information, I really was looking at the things that were positive. but then I also wanted to make sure I found stuff that were notable concerns or areas of concern. So if they were more than neutral and more of the, some disagree, but it was still predominantly strongly agree and agree, it was good to see what areas were neutral and how do we interpret that as well. I'm no statistician, but I think it was interesting going through it and finding information because there was certainly a lot of data there.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that you've included the weaknesses, the areas for growth in addition to the strengths, because I think, I've said this many times before, we cannot grow as a district if we don't identify areas for growth, and no one is perfect. I did find it interesting that, and, I think it's not surprising to me. Well, first, let me back up and say that I'm really pleased to see that so many students feel safe at school. It's in the high 70s, and that's fantastic. And I think it's really important that we do look at those students who don't feel safe at school, who are reporting those things. I think that even though it is a sliver, it's a very powerful number, especially when you have provided the anecdotal data here, some of the feedback that's pretty consistent across staff, students, and families regarding, relational aggression and social exclusion. And I think that, your development of procedures and just kind of continuing to grow in the process of identifying conflict, identifying bullying, responding consistently, I think is really important for us as a district to address bullying, but also to address inclusion. So thank you.
And I think you're right. Even if it's a small percentage, we want to know who they are so we can help. And I think that everyone's willing to help and goes above and beyond, but sometimes people don't feel comfortable coming forward, and that's unfortunate, but we want to make sure they do feel safe in letting us know so we can help. Because we want all students to feel safe.
Does anyone else have any other questions or comments? No? All right.
All right, thank you. So at the November meeting, you approved, or I think we discussed the middle school pathways for career and technical education. So we did submit that by their deadline. And I did get an email a few weeks back from a company associated with DESE that had some questions on compliance. So they made 3 recommendations, and they were pretty straightforward, so I resubmitted the plan to you. The first one really just had us list out the regional vocational schools, so we listed Southeastern, Bristol, and Norfolk Aggie. The second had to do with clarifying the transportation costs are required to be assumed by the schools hosting the tours. I don't know if we left it out, but we didn't make it very clear that it's really their responsibility. So it really doesn't fall on us. It falls on the school if they want to pay for it. It's their choice to do so, but it's not assumed by our district. And clarifying that schools will share the names and addresses of all 7th and 8th grade graders by October 15th deadline. And the only information shared should be regarding attendance and discipline related to the admission weights, and then more information will be sent after they're accepted and they choose to go. So I shared it back with our team at the Mill Senior High School. We agreed, and Mrs. Giannis, and we agreed that they seemed to be reasonable. Again, they were not major changes, just added in that information.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, Mrs. Grant is going to give a first quarter FY26 budget update.
Good evening, and thank you for moving Jen forward. Not easy to have a budget discussion following a sports update. So this is the fiscal year 26 quarter 1 budget update. Our quarter ended on 9/30/25. Our expenditures were within budget and where I expected them to be for the end of the quarter. Just for a quick summary, we have a $21.3 million budget that consists of a town-approved $18.6 million from the general fund, and the school contributes about $2.7 million toward the budget. And this money is through choice funds and grants that we receive. For Q1, we spent $2.4 million out of the general fund, and this represents about a 13% of our budget, and this is on the cash basis. So our budget has very little discretionary spending. 88% of the budget is made up of 3 categories: 71% from contractual salaries, about 11% for out-of-district tuition, and 6% for transportation. So that doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room for unanticipated costs or additional unbudgeted items. Our most pressing and unknown budget concerns for the remainder of the year would be any additional out-of-district costs for students that were not identified until after the budget was completed. We have no additional costs at this time. Significant building repairs. Again, with our aging buildings, it is almost impossible to foresee large maintenance costs for repairs. And the same way would be unanticipated substitute costs. We budget a significant amount for substitute costs each year, but it is impossible really to predict, who's going to go out, maternity leave, FMLA, etc. So, any questions? Thank you.
And I think
Go ahead.
it's also good that we, recently met with the budget subcommittee and we went over where we're at as of, I think, November 30th.
Right, that's, yes.
Yeah, so it's just good to continue to look at it to see if there's anything that really gets out of range, and we're right in range, and we're pretty much where expected.
Yeah,
Thank you, Kathy.
okay.
I just want to say that I appreciate your efforts in getting to do this for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, so it's back to us with unfinished business. So I understand you have, Mr. Bodwell, an update on the policies that we
Yes.
had open?
Yes.
Well, that we voted on, but
So just an update on, kind of falls into 4 different categories. So policy EFBA, I honestly don't remember the name of that policy. I didn't put it
pulling
in
them up
there.
right now.
But it had to do with our food services program. So language regarding meal modifications has been added to the food service website, so thank you to Mrs. Grinder. Also, the meal modification form is now linked on the website, so she got right on that within a couple of days, I think. And principals have a draft of the language to include in the 26-27 handbook. So what they usually do is they'll have a draft of the handbook, they'll keep adding stuff to it, so it goes to you for the next year. So I think a lot of those things were checked off on that.
Great.
The next number, KBE, GB, EBC, and IIE or JJE, have to do with our community groups and organizations. So we have made contact with each of our booster organizations regarding their 501c3 status. It's ongoing, and we've seen some progress in all of them and discussions with all of them. They're at a little bit different stages, but I think we're moving forward, which is encouraging. And again, we've shared out information from our school attorney, and just to make sure we're all in compliance and that we're all on the same working path for making sure we're covered.
Great. Yeah, I did see in an email that the arts boosters got their information back from the IRS. One thing that I would like to see in a future meeting, or just kind of to put on your radar as we are, enforcing these policies. They are new this year, and it's a big change for a lot of districts, is adhering to some of the rules around raffles, and involving kids in raffles and collecting money, because I have seen some flyers from various groups that were still doing those raffles. And I know that a lot of that is probably lingering from previously approved fundraising, but I just want to make sure that they're aware and that we're following up.
Yeah, I agree. Policy ADE has to do with our wellness policy, so I've been in touch with our Director of Food Services and our lead nurse, and they're working on setting up a wellness meeting in December, so we can have an update in January. So we have, a date has not been selected, but it's my goal to work with them to have a date prior to leaving on break. And ADC had to do with some no smoking or no vaping tobacco signs. So our director, Mark DeBrega, got right on that. The signs have been ordered. I don't think they've been installed yet. You haven't seen. So I know we'll have one for each of the schools near the front door, and then one kind of at the back of the Howard School, and one out by the track and the turf field out there to make sure people are complying with regulations.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any questions for Mr. Bodwell on those policies?
No.
Nope. Great. Okay, up next we have the competency determination plan, which is a voting issue. Do you want to give us a little update?
Sure. We recently met and we went back over it again to see if we had any suggestions from our administrative team, and we had none. I am going to share some more information in a few minutes about the Massachusetts state graduation requirements. So in all honesty, there's a bit of duplication, I should say, between the two, but I think it's, this is something that we are required to do, all districts are, by December 31st. And so we have to work through our GEMS and upload information to GEMS. We feel our policy is kind of taken from a template. We've looked at other policies. It seems to work. It seems to be a good representation of what we feel would be a competency determination for our 10th graders. So we're looking for approval.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the competency determination?
Motion to approve the competency determination.
Second? All right, discussion? Any questions on these? No, I know this is our second look. I also know, the goalpost gets moved with Desi and things change, and this is kind of in the moment. Looks good to me. Okay, all in favor of approving the competency determination? Aye. Any opposed? So moved.
All right,
Okay,
thank you. So, moving on, just this last week, we had a meeting with the Commissioner of Education and the Secretary of Education, and they provided information from the Governor's K-12 State Graduation Council, which was convened after the passage of Question 2, recommending a new statewide graduation requirement to replace the grade 10 MCAS exams. So in this month, they've released a preliminary report and preliminary recommendations, and we had a virtual meeting on December 3rd with some Q&A. So just a few of the highlights I want to go over. They are talking about gradually phasing out the grade 10 MCAS and phasing in end of course assessments. I'll talk a minute about that. And then the next steps are, they said they will continue to collaborate with the association, math, and other stakeholders with a final document in June of 2026. And I assume much more information will be forthcoming. So it's interesting. The voters said no MCAS, and they're talking about end of course assessments, but I'll share some information on that. So when you look at the 108-page document, it really boils down to 7 recommendations. In all honesty, I feel that we're in a good place in 6 of them. And when the one that we're not, no one is not really knowing about that. So, number 1, students will complete a rigorous program of studies that aligns with the admission requirements for higher education. Right now, our graduation requirement is 4 years of English, math, science, and social studies. We are far above the Mass Core requirement, so I think in that, number 1, we are very good. Number 2 is students participate in end-of-course assessments that are connected to select courses unknown at this time that are designed, administered, and scored by the state. They've talked about potentially an Algebra 1. I'm assuming there'll be an English course and a science and probably a social studies course. Again, end of course is dependent if it's an Algebra 1, we have 8th graders taking Algebra 1, and we sometimes have 10th graders taking Algebra 1, mostly as a freshman, though. So they have said, though, that not passing that will not, means it does not mean they will not graduate. So they can still not pass at end of course and still get a diploma. Again, they've got to figure out what that's going to possibly look like. Number 3, students will complete a capstone or portfolio that is designed by the state, defined and designed by the state, administered and scored locally. Well, we have a senior project right now for our seniors. It's part of their graduation requirements. So again, in a good place there. Number 4, students will develop and maintain an individual career and academic plan. MyCap is not the only one, but we currently use MyCap, and that's what they suggested in the recommendations. So we are already using that within the district. Number 5, students will complete a FAFSA with an option to complete a MASFA instead, or to opt out of this requirement. So it sounds like it is optional. Number 6, students will develop knowledge and skills in financial literacy. I think that's a great idea, and I think very important. We do have a financial literacy, financial math class for seniors. It's not required, but again, something we could look at and plan for the future. And students will have the option to earn a state-designated seal of distinction. Currently, we offer students to take the seal of biliteracy, and there are other ones out there. Again, great for our students who want to continue to excel. So that's the kind of the initial brush at these graduation requirements, but really I think the main takeaway is we're in a good place right now in our district, and the area we're not is everyone's going to have a lot of questions on what that's going to look like.
It's my assumption, and correct me if I'm wrong, that these end of course assessments will, if they're kind of taking the place of MCAS, will be used for accountability.
That's what they said, yes.
Yeah, okay.
But if they're not going to be, if passing them's not required, then is that going to skew accountability? So,
All right. Well, I guess we'll wait and see.
Mark,
yes.
is there any tentative time frame on when they're thinking about implementing these?
Beyond the June 26th, I don't think so. I don't think, I mean, the earliest would have to be the following year, and maybe they'll kind of weave in a few here and there to start. I gotta think the assessment piece will take a little bit longer,
I think so.
and testing that out.
Thank you.
Welcome.
All right. Next, we have classroom management systems and the website blocking concerns.
Okay, so I lumped these together because we've done a lot of work. Our admin team has different people, spearheaded by John Collins, looking at different information and participating in webinars, looking at 4 different companies. They each had some unique things, some things that made them stand out. They had classroom management options, and they also had website blocking or filtering options. Some, again, were better than others. We're also checking in, and John's checking in with area schools to look at their products. Go Guardian is another one, but we didn't look at that one at this point just because right now the cost and some of the experiences people have had. Again, I think they all do a lot of similar things. Right now, in looking at them, there's an annual cost ranging from about $8,500 to $11,000. So I think there's, we want to make sure if we are moving in that direction, what grade levels are we doing? What's our need? Well, how is it going to be implemented in the classroom? What's it going to look like in terms of the teacher's role? How will they be on their computer? We really like some of the things like when they have to lock them down to one website or one place they are. But if they're always monitoring their Chromebook, is it the most efficient use of the educator in the classroom? So it's right now it's just kind of we'll continue to gather information on that. And today at our admin meeting, we had a demonstration from Parent Square, which is a communication program that would put a lot of things into one basket in terms of communication from central office to the building principals, to the classroom teachers, to our coaches, to our advisors. There are a lot of places that are using Parent Square, and it seems very reasonable. Potentially, it would replace Aptogee for us. So I think that's, something that we're looking at, because we recognize that we want our educators to be using the same mode of communication, but we also want it for our parents too. It's hard to navigate when people are sending information through different ways, so.
So this would, so I know over the years, my children's teachers have used Remind and Class Dojo and Facebook pages, so this would eliminate all of that so that it's all in one place?
Correct.
Okay.
And just with our JLMC, when we're working with the union on professional development and graduate courses, we have looked at Vector, which is a program that will help gather all the information. It was formerly TeachPoint, I think, so it's for evaluations, and so we get away from the paper when they sign up and they want to sign up for courses or professional development. And we have a meeting tomorrow at 11, and some of the educators will join us so they can see what it looks like on Wednesday. Sorry, thank you.
I'm actually familiar with Vector. It's a little bit clunky, but it's better than paper.
Okay,
Yeah.
good. I will take any feedback.
Yeah.
And with a lot of these, what we're doing is we may be adding, obviously there's a budgetary impact on that, but in some cases there are things that can also go away. So the cost won't be prohibitive, but again, if we're getting something, we want to make sure it's the right thing. And it's the most useful, and we're not just changing things all the time. So those are some of those updates. And curriculum discussion, so I know.
Hold on one second.
Yeah, sorry.
I know we have website blocking concerns on there, and that came up last time. Can you give us an update on that?
So from what I understand, and I'm going to defer to some of our administrators as well, in terms of blocking like YouTube.
Yep.
So these companies will do that in different degrees as well, but right now the filtering system we have, YouTube is allowable when it's sent through Google Classroom, from what I understand.
It's embedded into the Google Classroom as a link. Student cannot navigate to YouTube on their own.
So,
The teacher has to assign a link and embed it into an assignment.
and I know that is a concern, and with my superintendent council, I've heard that from them. Sometimes it shuts them down. They lose all their, what they're searching for. But
We brought it up too, so it's concerned on my council as well. And John Collins, it's a big safety thing with some of the access.
there's a lot, yeah. And I think the younger and younger kids are, I have lunch with my kindergartners, and I ask them what they're doing this week, and they said, I'm going on YouTube. I'm like, oh, how about going outside and raking leaves? I don't know. But.
I think it's frustrating on both sides.
Yeah.
I don't know the answer to
I did include this in my update as well, but some of the educational searches get blocked too.
So like if sometimes teachers are searching and their sites are getting blocked as well. So like, you said one worked, a YouTube link had worked that a teacher had used, and then another did not, and same issue.
I'm thinking it's a pretty common issue with YouTube being blocked, and talking to John, I think he said that it's pretty universally blocked in schools. Yeah.
It was an end user agreement with YouTube and Google. It has to do with permissions.
And privacy.
I don't want to speak without it being.
Right.
At the beginning of the summer, he sent something out to us that unless we had like actual written permission from every individual family opting in to YouTube
Yeah.
access, it wasn't an opt-out. We couldn't do like, if you don't send this in, you're good to go.
Mhm.
It was an opt-in, that Google would not allow. I think Google's worried about lawsuits.
And we can have
So
John come to it, especially if we're going to move forward with something like a parent square. We want to make sure that information is out there. And I think if things are getting blocked, I think there might be a mechanism to unblock certain things, depending on what they are.
I think typically what happens is they put a ticket in
Okay.
to John, and then, and then I think that he looks into it and either unlocks it or.
And I think some of this is teachers getting used to knowing how to share the videos. The beginning of the year in our school, we had some teachers who were saying, this one worked and this one didn't. It's because one of them was linked somewhere and one of them was embedded. And there's a difference between embedding it into an assignment and simply posting a link. You post the link, it won't work. You embed it into an assignment, it will. And so some of that is just training the teachers on how they need to be using the link.
And I believe that embedding it in classroom is useful, but I don't think it's YouTube that is the issue, because Google searches, if there's a YouTube link in a Google search, the entire page gets shut down. So stuff that's not even related to YouTube would get blocked.
So like the search results on a Google page.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe you and George could talk with, Mr. Collins and just explain your perspective and what you're seeing, and that might be helpful for him to say, oh, okay. Or maybe it's something that can't be fixed, but I think seeing it firsthand from your perspective would be helpful. Would be great.
Yeah. I'm curious what other districts are doing as well and how they're navigating this.
Yeah, I think he said
They
that
meet regularly, his tech group,
Yeah.
and I think they're kind of all on the same page, but we can definitely
Yeah, and
investigate.
just to bring up the other thing the students were saying is that now that they can't have their personal home laptops and Chromebooks in school, it's become more of an issue, because if they do use those, they can access the search results versus the school-provided Chromebook, it's blocked.
Yeah, and the teachers will say the opposite, that they can embed them into their classroom. So I think it's something we have to sit and chat about.
All right. Thank you for giving us that information.
Okay, so let's kind of mark this discussion, I guess, as ongoing.
Yeah,
Maybe
no.
Mr. Collins, give us some information.
Definitely.
Thank you.
All right. We had brought up at a previous meeting about curriculum. We were talking a little bit specifically about phys ed at the middle school and the high school level. So Paige and I have talked. We have a meeting scheduled for this week. It was supposed to be last week, but there was a little family addition to the Paige family, and she
Congratulations,
traveled,
yeah.
so we had to reschedule. And I think what we're doing is we're really looking at the most effective use of all of our courses in terms of middle school, high school, program of studies, content in each one, what's best for kids in terms of physical education, health, social emotional learning, and also maybe somehow incorporating some of that financial literacy in there as well. So we're looking at different options for those. And again, we want to make sure we have those embedded and ready to go for a program of studies that's approved usually in January.
Yeah, we.
The first meeting in
February,
February, yeah.
we could do, yeah.
Okay. So
So it sounds like it's still in process.
it's definitely still a process.
so
We've started a Google Doc, we've shared it back and forth, we've shared ideas since the last meeting saying, what about this? What about this? How could we do this? Being a middle, senior high school on the same schedule, you are running the same schedules for 7 to 12. So that's one of the downsides, I think, of having a middle, senior high school.
Honestly, that's your, because we have to teach both, we have to stay in the same bell schedule, and there's really not as much flexibility. So that's the only downside.
But I think we can get creative, and we've talked some good creative ideas.
Would the schedule change and moving from a block to a waterfall impact this positively, negatively? Not at all?
I don't think it would,
Not at all,
I don't,
Because you still won't be able to differentiate the staff, they have to stay
Yeah.
in the same bell schedule.
more frequency,
Yeah.
shorter time, but more frequent, yeah.
Because all the exploratories are mainly taught by high school teachers.
And with
For the
the,
middle school.
and with the middle school teams, we want them the same blocks off for the common planning so they can do their team stuff. All right. Mrs. Yanis, update on some historical MCAS data.
So at last month's meeting, you were asking for some historical data. There you have it. I just want to explain a few things about this data. So in 2020, 2021, that was the year we came back from the pandemic, and MCAS was not a normal test. Some kids took it remotely. Some kids were in the building. So those scores might be a little inflated. And then 21, 22, we dipped back down. But that's probably part of COVID as well. And then 23, we started to rebound a little bit, 24 and 25. So unfinished learning is part to blame. We're close to the state on most, in most schools. We also had some staffing inconsistencies at Howard. We had 2 new administrators during those 5 years. We had maternity leaves, and we also implemented a new curriculum in 22-23, and there is a thing called the implementation dip. And we didn't dip as much as we thought we were going to, but we did do a little bit. So in 22-23, K-5 began their new foundational literacy, and they started Wit and Wisdom as well. The following year, we added grades 6, 7, and 8. And in those 2 years, we also were fortunate to have some grants to help us with implementation. Roselle had an early literacy grant, which provided a consultant to come in and work with the teachers in implementing the early literacy curriculum, working with them on group work. So that was 2 years of PD with the consultant. And then the Howard School had PD for those 2 years as well on high-quality implementation materials. And we worked with a consultant over there as well on how best to implement Wit and Wisdom. And in 2024, the 5th grade team did an amazing job. And I think that was because of our implementation efforts that year over at Howard. They had, part of the grant was it paid for common planning time. So they had consistent common planning and other things like that.
And accountability was mentioned earlier.
Yep.
Right now, as a district, we're still
We're substantial. So in 2022, we had no accountability because of COVID. 2023, we were not requiring assistance or intervention because we were making moderate progress towards our targets. And then 24 and 25, we still are not requiring assistance or interventions because of substantial progress towards our goals. So we're moving in the right direction, and we're not far off from the state. So that was ELA. Math looks a little different. Math might, we started talking about looking at some elementary math programs, but we couldn't do that in the middle of implementing the ELA program because that was a heavy, heavy lift for the teachers. So math is something definitely we have to work on. And then I didn't do any historical data for, could you go back to that one?
This one?
Yep. That is a historical chart, and you can follow the progression of the third graders in 21, you can follow them down to, I think it's 7th grade. And if I had gone back further than 21, we could have had a few more historical progressions, but that's following the cohort, and we know things change in the cohort, so that's following the same group of students, but could have additions or students have moved out. And the same thing with math. Any questions?
No, thank you for sharing this. I think it is encouraging to look at the ELA and to see, when you look at, I mean, let's just drop 2021 off, that it's not valid. When you look at 22 to 25 and you see that the trend line is going up.
Yep.
For the whole district.
And middle school had a really huge jump last year. In 25, they had the biggest jump in their scores. It's not represented on that chart, but they had a very large increase in percentage of meeting and exceeding, so.
I think the Wit and Wisdom showed.
Yeah, the Wit and Wisdom, it's hard, it is rigorous, but And,
Seeing
right
the
now, we're
results.
part of a study, too, a Columbia University study for implementation. We just finished our first round of observations for the implementation, and we will get some feedback in late December, and hopefully we can share it in probably February.
And what's good is you're working together with the administrators, you're calibrating what you're seeing, so it's getting consistency
Yes.
in the observations.
Yeah, we had to go through a calibration training, and we had to qualify as observers, and it's all anonymous. There's no names attached to it. We'll get district feedback on what we're doing well and what we can improve on. So that's exciting for me to get that information.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so, moving on for new business, we have the elementary and middle senior high school handbooks. There's an update for the disciplinary code of conduct. This is a voting issue. Can we get a little update on?
Yes, so this is part of the ongoing DESI submissions for CR 25, I believe. And it's, they have timelines for us to report back information, so we don't like it to be our norm to come to you in the middle of the year for handbook changes, but we do have to submit by the end of December information, so we're saving other stuff, but we want to make sure this was explained, voted on, and then put into the handbook so we can report that out. So I'll let you.
Okay, so I'm just going to reference the changes that we made. Starting, the table of contents was updated to reflect the changes. Starting on page 19, where it says Code of Conduct, we made some edits to include the role of the principal in the suspension procedures and removed the previous language that was in there. It should be, in your copy, it should be red. I didn't double check. On pages 20 through 28, we're looking at suspension procedures. Previously, we had linked language. We just linked it. We said, for this, follow this link. Given the fact that they're still looking for things that we think are there, we decided we're taking out all the links. We're just going to copy the law and plop it right into the handbook. It makes the handbook longer, but hopefully it will meet the expectations. We combined the due process section with the suspension procedures because really due process happens when you are doing an investigation and suspending someone. And we removed the previous language. On pages 28 through 29, the school-wide educational service plan was previously a link. Again, took out the link, added the content. I think we left the link in and added the content.
We did.
Yep. And then pages 30 to 31, we removed where previously the due process had been mentioned because we had mentioned it pages ahead. So really, it's just kind of reorganizing things, but hopefully in a way that will make it easier to use for people who need it, who are using the handbook for that purpose.
I think it's just putting the language right on the
Yeah.
page instead of having to go to another tab
Yeah.
first. It's the same, just different page numbers for the middle senior high school.
Okay. Great.
Questions?
Is there a motion to approve both the elementary and middle senior high school updates to the
Move
handbook?
to approve the elementary and middle senior high school handbooks.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, so moved.
Thank you, Paul.
Okay. Kara, MASC joint conference update.
Feels like it was 3 months ago.
Seriously, it does.
Okay, so I was fortunate to be able to attend the MASC-MASS joint conference on Wednesday, November 12th through Friday, November 14th. I was down the Cape. Mr. Bottle was there for a couple of the days. It's a really positive experience. The messaging that they put out, support for the school systems, different opportunities that are available for the different school districts, and the breakout sessions are so informative. I learn lots. It's 2 years in a row that I've gone, come back with a wealth of information, which I know probably bugs most of you guys. But it's really a great experience and something that I just want to put on the table because it was expressed in more than one of my breakout sessions, was that if it's, you know, a possibility within our budget for more of us to attend, it's strongly encouraged by MASC for more than just one representative. We need to have one person there to be the delegate to vote at the end of Friday's meeting, but other than that, it's open to all members of the school committee if it's something that we could feasibly afford. It's really informational. The other thing that I think we'll be looking into in the probably late winter, early spring, we have some opportunities for training for those of us on the school committee, and we can do that as a full school committee without violating open meeting law because it's an exemption for training and development. But I think where we're such a new school committee, it would be beneficial for us to maybe have people from MASC come in and review exactly how things are supposed to work. So look forward to hopefully getting more information, maybe January, February, have more information on that.
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay. Next up, we have the CPAC update. The West Bridgewater Special Education Parent Advisory Council is dedicated to building inclusive schools and a supportive community for all students. We serve families of students with IEPs and 504 plans, and we welcome general education families as well. Through advocacy, guidance, educational programs, and community events, our goal is to ensure that every student has what they need to succeed. This month, we hosted our annual Basic Rights Workshop with Christine Riley of Cape Cod Advocate. Christine provided a helpful overview of student and parent special education rights, along with practical tips for navigating the process. If you are unable to attend, workshop slides and notes will be available for members of our mailing list. We also want to extend a huge thank you to our wonderful students, faculty, staff, and for celebrating in the International Day of Disabilities by rocking their socks on Friday, December 5th. We loved seeing everyone's fun, mismatched, and funky socks while raising awareness and funds. We will be sharing the total amount raised soon through email and social media. To learn more about WB CPAC, stay updated on events, or join our mailing list, please visit us on Facebook or email us anytime at WBCPAC, SEPAC, @gmail.com. Okay, next up, report of the student representative. George.
Okay, so good evening. I am George Baroud, the student representative to the SAC and a junior at the middle school, high school. So I'd like to provide an update on recent activities from the student perspective. So firstly, we have seen a club addition with the Active Minds Club emerging. This club is focused on the center of upkeeping positive mental health. And our SAC believes this is a beneficial addition to our current clubs, especially with one revolving around the idea of inclusion and safety for those who struggle with mental health issues. We have also discussed the upcoming tradition of the Power Block volleyball tournament before break, and we are all excited to see traditions such as this continue in our school system. Furthermore, there is an addition of a talent show called WB's Got Talent, which is fundraising for our arts department. This is beneficial toward not only our art department, but our school's spirit as well. The recent Crucible play was very well received, planned, and took a great amount of hard work from the actors and coordinators alike. However, on the topic of our school's drama club, we are aware that the event happened in the fall of sports conflicting with drama, forcing the students to choose, is present again for the spring. Our SAC believes this is not only unfair to the students, but unacceptable toward a student that would hold both of these as passions. And an update on our AP additions. Actions have been taken with teachers who are interested in teaching these courses, and we are hoping to add a few new courses for students interested in enrolling. Lastly, I would like to include that the computers are still experiencing significant issues, even in school-related searches and topics, as we mentioned earlier. And this is an issue that needs to be fixed as it affects some teachers' plans for classwork and students' educational research. Thank you for your consideration towards student interest, and if any of you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Thank you.
Thank you, George.
And
Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you also for being patient. This is a longer than normal meeting tonight, so thank you for waiting to give your report.
Does anyone have any questions? For George, I know we discussed we had our student advisory committee meeting just prior to this, which was an open meeting. So we had a lengthy discussion with the representatives there, which was really nice.
I have one quick question. Who runs the new group? You know?
The Active Minds.
The Active Minds, I believe it's Armani, Carrie, and
This is Sullivan and, not Eden,
And our friend
Oh,
Harry.
Harry, yeah.
That's what all right, that's good. And do you enjoy Harry?
Yeah, I love Harry.
It's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, George. Okay, moving on to the reports of the subcommittees. So the policy subcommittee, we have some policies to approve. So I am going to make a motion, hold on one moment here, to approve the following policies as written. BA, School Committee Operational Goals. BAA, Evaluation of School Committee Operational Procedures. BB, School Committee Legal Status. BBA, School Committee Powers and Duties. BBAA, School Committee Member Authority. BBBA, BBBB, School Committee Member Qualifications / Oath of Office. BBBC, School Committee Member Resignation. BBBE, Unexpired Term Fulfillment. BCA, School Committee Member Ethics. BDA, School Committee Organizational Meeting. BDB, School Committee Officers. BDD, School Committee Superintendent Relationship. BDE, Subcommittees of the School Committee. BDF, Advisory Committees to the School Committee. BDFA, School Councils. BDFA-E, School Improvement Plan. BDG, School Attorney. BE, School Committee Meetings. BEC, Executive Sessions. BEDA, Notification of School Committee Meetings. BEDB, Agenda Format. And BEDB-E, Agenda Format. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, discussion.
That was well done.
Thank you. So the policy subcommittee, we met a couple of weeks ago and reviewed, this is half of the B policies, which is school governance. And for the most part, there were very few updates, right? Yeah, so we updated the pronouns on BCA and BDG. There were no change to the content. There's actually no change to the content on any of these. One thing that we did note is there were a couple of things that we as a school committee need to do better at. So specifically, according to policy BA, we need to establish operational goals, and BAA, we need to complete the self-evaluation process. So this is something that we did try to do a couple of years ago when we got the policy subcommittee going, and then I think it kind of fell off of our plate. So looking towards a future meeting, possibly January, we should consider evaluating ourselves and looking at what we're doing well, what we need to improve on. Does anyone have any questions about that? Okay. And then we did actually have some questions from Mr. Bodwell. You've already answered them, though, regarding school councils and how active they are and if they're following the policies, which they are, which is great to hear.
Yes.
All right. Any other questions on these policies? No? Okay. All in favor to accept these policies as written?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So moved. And then the policy on hold is IKF, competency determination. Since we just voted on the competency determination, we will move this to next month and hopefully tie it up. Lastly, we do not need to actually open on your agenda. We have a big list of B policies. We opened the entire index last time, so I don't have to read this lengthy list. The next policy subcommittee meeting date is December 22nd. I believe here in the Middle Senior High School Learning Commons, where we'll be reviewing the rest of those policies. Okay, are there any other updates from the committees, the subcommittees? Nope. Any questions or recommendations by the committee for future agendas? No? Okay. The next regular school committee meeting date is January 12th, 2026 at 6 p.m. here in the Middle Senior High School Learning Commons. Move to adjourn into executive session to discuss the reputation, character, physical condition, or mental health rather than professional competence of an individual, or to discuss the discipline of, dismissal of, or complaints or charges brought against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual, and not to reconvene in open session. Is there a second?
Second.
So this has to be done by roll call vote. Mrs. Myskowski?
Robin Dragonetti,
Yes.
Carol Lazati,
Yes.
Christine Myskowski, yes. And this one's on here. Perry Rose,
Yes.
okay. I'll read this back. Robin Dragonetti, yes. Carol Lazari, yes. Christine Myskowski, yes. Perry Rose, yes.
All right. So moved. Have a good night, everyone. See you